requested to speak, there are 2 speaker podiums in the chambers. The podium in the back is for individuals with mobility concerns. We ask all others to step forward to the front podium. Each podium has a countdown clock located to the speaker's right that will indicate how much time is remaining. When you have 30 seconds left, a bell will sound and you should complete your comments. Before you begin your comments, please state your name. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to your Fort Worth City Council meeting. I'll call us to order.
Please rise for the invocation. Tonight's invocation will be given by Pastor James Lapine. Please rise and remain standing for the invocation and pledges of allegiance.
Pray with me. Jesus, when you taught your disciples to pray, you told them to say, "Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven." And so, Father, tonight we pray that your will would be done, that your name would be hallowed, that your kingdom would come in Fort Worth as it is in heaven. Jesus, we declare that you rule and reign over all of history, over all of time. And so would you come and heal the things that are broken in our city? Would you come and shine the light of your gospel in the dark places of our heart and the dark places of our city? Would all of Fort Worth thrive as we pursue you and your gospel and your kingdom coming to earth? And so would you empower our city leaders, our city officials, our policemen and women, our constituents, everyone here tonight, would you give them your spirit, your love, and would we pursue your kingdom coming in Fort Worth as it is in heaven? We ask all these things in your powerful name. Amen. Amen.
Next, Mayor, I believe Mayor Pro Tem would like to do a special recognition.
Wonderful. Mayor Pro Tem Bivens.
Did this, there we are. I am so excited to see the Scouts from probably 2 churches, Mount Olive and Shiloh. If you guys would come down and have your troop leader, your Scoutmaster, introduce you. This troop, or these 2 combined troops, have resulted in several Eagle Scouts. And Coach, if you'll tell us who they are, and I'll come down and join you. And anybody who wants to take a picture with these fine young men, just meet me in the well.
Good evening.
Good evening.
To Mayor Parker and all the other officials here. My name is Scoutmaster Jones. We hail out of Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church. We also come from Destiny Baptist Church.
Yeah.
We enjoy what we do, and we love to come here and get some points for our citizenship of the community. And with me, I have our SPL from North Crowley is Kenneth Allen. Also North Crowley, his brother, Kendall Allen, from Pascal High School. Pascal High School, we have
Say your name.
Coachman Williams.
Okay.
Okay, and then we also have
Stacy Henderson.
Stacy Henderson, and the last but not least, we have
Joseph Slater Perry.
and he's from North Crowley, also baseball team.
We want to welcome you guys. We're going to join you down there for a photo while you continue saying whatever you want to say.
That's all. Thank you. Oh yeah, thanks for all the work y'all do all the time. I used to be a coach and nobody never said thank you or anything. So I just want to say thank you for the work that you guys do all the time. All right.
Mayor and council, the next item will be consideration of the minutes from the June 6th, June 13th, June 20th, and 27th meetings.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion, council? Please vote. Motion carries.
Mayor and council, that concludes the action items. The rest is public comments.
Thank you, Jeanette. Our first speaker this evening is Leticia Welburn, followed by Richard Perez.
I have a couple of pictures I need to show. Okay. How many minutes do I have? Okay. I just want to say that I'm with Echo Heights Stop 6 Environmental Coalition. I also live in Echo Heights. The coalition started with me filing a complaint with the NAACP. Ms. Williams answered, and she and Ms. Gina Bird came to my home, and Gina Bird had the idea to come up with the coalition, and she worked with us to get the coalition formed. So with that said, I want to let everybody know that's listening that according to Ms. Williams, I know Ms. Bivens said that she left Echo Heights, but Ms. Williams said they have not abandoned Echo Heights. So that's not true. Also, I just want to say that, of course, you guys know we have over 200 industries in our community. As a result, I have a trucking company behind my home. Can I show the pictures, please? Now, as of Thursday, I can't show the pictures on the screen. On Thursday, I recorded my temperature in the backyard. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I recorded the temperatures. And if you look at the thermometers, the temperature is 120 degrees tops, which means that it's actually hotter than that in my backyard. It's so hot in my backyard today that the one of the thermometers actually broke. Can you show the other thermometer, the other picture, please? Okay, and see, you see one of the thermometers there, and you see the trucks in back. So with that being said, with all of the industrializations that you all have done in this community, not only do we have the pollution, we have the illnesses, we have the health risks, we also are attending global warming. Now, with, you know, if the thermometer tops 120, like I said, it's over 120 degrees in my backyard. And Ms. Martinez, I was not being rude at the meeting last week. It's just that when I bought my home in 1985, we checked and we was told that homes would be built in that area. The city went behind the community's back and put it and termed it an industrial site zone without any community input, and that should not be that way. You know, we've had miscarriages, as I said, we've had deaths. We've had a lot of things going on that you guys are aware of. Now you guys see how hot it is in the community from the global warming. And we also have one guy in the community that has over 100 lots, Bowie Holland. Now, we all know that he's got to be a frequent customer, so he must be getting special treatments because he's allowed to do things in the community, and the community has asked for no more industry. We asked for a moratorium to stop industries been adding, and we want y'all to listen to us and respect.
Thank you, Ms. Welburn. Our next speaker is Richard Perez, followed by Jim Sherbeck.
I'm Richard Perez, a lifelong resident of Fort Worth with family in my present area for 4 generations of about 80 years. I'm here to support our friends at Echo Heights to make sure that their needs are heard for concerns of current and encroaching industrial zoning that negatively impacts the air they breathe from large diesel truck exhaust, the safety of their streets from these trucks, the impact on their parks, noise pollution, and the eyesore of the semi-truck trailers backed up into their backyards. To give perspective from a historical community surrounded by industrial zoning, I want to tell you about my own environmental plight with a chemical factory. My area is near the stockyards, about half a mile south of Joe T. Garcia's restaurant. We're right behind the Rose Marine Theater. In the past 6 years, there have been 2 major noxious gas releases from a chemical company on Northside Drive that borders our small village-type neighborhood. There have been moderate releases during those years as well. I've reported this to TCEQ and the City of Fort Worth Environmental. The gases released irritate the lungs, eyes, nose, and throat. It makes us short of breath. It's above and beyond the severity of what nuisance laws or ordinances call smells or odors. Calling it that downplays the severity of these respiratory irritants and possible carcinogens. The major releases of these noxious gases, and even the moderate ones, usually happens at night or on the weekends outside of city office hours. I can only guess why. There has been some mitigation of the problem when TCEQ and Fort Worth Environmental does investigate. And I'm sure this chemical company alters their operations when they know they're being observed. It's basically a cat and mouse game. I've read portions of the comprehensive plan environmental sections, and there is brief mention of future mobile air quality monitoring, but no guarantees for it. Currently, there are only 2 government air quality monitors several miles away and are not real time and may not provide accurate monitoring of volatile organic compounds, only particulate matter. They are not effective. We need local real-time air quality monitoring of the gases emitted to protect and warn our community if there is a major gas release. We need due diligence goals and objectives for alerting the community during major gas releases. As frontline communities next to industrial zoning and businesses that pollute our environment, I challenge the City of Fort Worth to fix and remedy these problems and provide environmentally safe neighborhoods for Echo Heights, Northside, and all residential areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. And Richard, I think you know Dr. Wittenberg, if he's here, just to make sure you have the connection with Cody and our environmental department. Thank you. Our next speaker is Jim Schoenbeck, followed by Bob Willoughby. And as Jim's coming to the microphone, I think Mayor Pro Tem Bivens, did you have something you needed? Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like the record to state that for the record, I had a telephone conversation with Estella with the NAACP in which she told me they would be focusing on Echo Heights. That is true. I'll put it in writing, and I want the record to state this amendment.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Jim, you're up, and then followed by Bob Willoughby. Thank you.
Howdy, Jim Schoenbeck, 1808 South Good Latimer, Dallas, 75226. I'm here representing Downwinders at Risk, a 30-year-old environmental group, one of the most persistent and best funded in the region. Our appearance here, along with other groups and representatives from other neighborhoods, is a sign that the Echo Heights matter left unresolved by this council earlier this year is a very serious matter indeed. And the fact that we're here again tonight recognizes that we're at an impasse and that there hasn't been a very sufficient or satisfactory city response. I think that's because after now attending some of these meetings, I understand why, and that's because I don't think Fort Worth has ever faced a challenge like this before in quite this way, and I think it's totally unprepared to do so, if you don't mind me saying so. It's never dealt with the systematic racism that is baked into this city's design, as it is baked into every American city's design just about. You don't even have the language in your planning materials or any city materials that I can find that talks about environmental justice at all as a policy, as a planning policy, as a goal worthy of your commitment. You're behind the curve in this respect. At least the staff wants to treat this amendment that's going on to the Echo Heights plan, the yearly plan for next Tuesday. It's kind of a bureaucratic detail that needs to get cleared up before the end of the year. That's understandable. But the neighborhood can't see it that way because they cannot allow further abuse to happen while the larger 2050 plan is actually being written. They want some assurance they're not going to keep playing whack-a-mole while that draft is being written. And so last Tuesday, we came to what I thought was some progress. I understand there have been no follow-up discussions. That's kind of disturbing. But the sense of the room in a community meeting with everybody present, staff and community, was that we had at least 3 things we could agree on, that we needed some kind of freeze or moratorium on new IR/IM zoning in Echo Heights, that we needed enforceable new truck routes that would not bring traffic through the neighborhoods, and that environmental justice should be included as a goal worthy of your commitment in this plan and every other from here on out. I would urge staff in the city to begin or initiate discussions with the community toward that end and show up next Tuesday with these suggestions. And you would have community support for getting this 2023 plan passed, much less the 2050 plan, I believe. If not, then this is going to get larger and more complicated and messier. And I don't think you want that to happen. You can either lead or be led to this goal of environmental justice. We'd prefer it the former rather than the latter. Thanks.
Our next speaker is Bob Willoughby, followed by Julie Ledford.
I'm going to start the video. Make sure the volume's up, please, when you do. City CCP funds, we don't know where they're going. They should be on the city website. Where every penny is going should be on the website where we can see it, but it's not. I just want to show you one small bit of this. But it's a whole sea of the same kind of problem right here. We have a blackout. The media is not going to tell you anything about what's going on, or like Rodney that's going to be coming up here in a second. You're supposed to only receive $300,000 in 30 months' time. This is his website. I thought they'd take it down after this came out on Google. You can Google him, Fort Worth. Here's his website right here. He looks pretty happy. I would be too. These events, there's no events. He's even got one coming in September, but not one of these events. You can scroll down and see a bunch of them, a whole page. Nothing. Check this out. This is his contact number. We gave this man almost $1 million with a contact number of 555-555-555. Can you believe that? You better believe it. Over here, there's no volunteers. You know, Maddie's the chair of this. She should be responsible for the money that he hadn't got and he's lost, okay? We should do a full investigation. Well, here we go with the order thing, aren't we? Well, bite your tongues on the order, okay? Bite your tongue.
That's sustained. I think we're just trying to explain that it's actually Councilmember Carlos Flores that chairs CCPD.
I want you to join the email list. You can find out what's going on in this city. Maddie, you don't know what you're doing, okay? This is terrible. You shouldn't be there. You're too young. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Julie Ledford. Hi, Julie. And Julie will be followed by Dan Hayes. Sorry, no disruption, sorry. Hi, Julie.
Hi. Okay, great. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. I'm Dr. Julie Ledford, and can we close that door, please?
I'm going to restart Julie's time. Dr. Ledford, you're up, please.
Thank you. All of you should have a copy of the community engagement policies and revision that are on the website and the bylaw proposed revisions. This is also included in my presentation. Can we please close that door? All right, I'm not going to read all of this because you have a copy and these are the city policies, but I just want to highlight, neighborhood associations should collectively represent all residents. Membership is open to neighborhood residents, and boundaries should not overlap with any existing registered associations. Associations shall notify community engagement about changes to boundaries, and they have an outreach plan with each household within the proposed expansion area notified of the meeting. And the reason I'm coming is we have a bylaw revision suggested to open the boundaries to anyone, including non-residents. So that would mean everyone would have to be notified. Residents of the proposed expansion area who are in attendance at the meeting shall vote. So again, if we have open membership to anyone anywhere, then it would be challenging to have a meeting with that population. Boundaries are clearly described in the bylaws. This is people who permanently reside within the association boundaries and live within the limits. If organizations are not in compliance, they will be notified by community engagement, and other residents will be allowed to petition to have their own neighborhood association. Currently, for the neighborhood where I reside, there are proposed bylaw revisions, including non-residents will be allowed to vote, non-residents will be allowed to serve as officers, and then the officers, vice president and president, will be allowed to speak on behalf of the organizations and then apprise members of the positions that they have chosen. Currently, the registration policies only allow one group per boundary area. That's to prevent overlap. Currently, there are no neighborhood associations that have open memberships that include voting rights. There is one organization within our historic area, but they're currently inactive and they're not on the city roster. They're not listed on the register. And then finally, community engagement only recognizes one group. Historically, non-residents were allowed to be in attendance but not vote or serve as officers, and this will set a precedent for other organizations to cease being representative of their local area. I did meet with Michelle Goot and our city manager, David Cook, and I requested considering allowing another organization within the limits if the bylaws are revised to include non-residents, because the point is for us to have a vote in our neighborhood. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, Julie. Just a quick question for you for my own clarification. Which neighborhood association or where do you live? Hanley, okay.
Neighborhood Association.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Dan Hayes, followed by George Childs.
Getting something ready. There we go.
Good evening. My name is Dan Hayes, and I live in District 11. Tonight, I'm bringing part one of a progress report on East Lancaster Avenue. First, I wanted to talk about the Public Improvement District. This was a grassroots effort resulting in the establishment of the district in 2019. Because of the timing, the PID went fully operational, I should say, in early 2020. The PID has two primary goals, which are to improve public safety and security and marketing the street for redevelopment. This shows the limits of the PID, which run from Riverside Drive to Loop 820. And here is how it looks as far as city council representation. The portion of East Lancaster east of Loop 820 and outside the PID is in District 5. Security-wise, there is success to report. Private security encounters with vagrants have been reduced to a manageable level with occasional surges. QR codes on the rear windows of the patrol vehicles link to the Tarrant County Homeless Coalition website, so we're trying to get help for those who are willing to accept it. The PID also pays for 8 flock license plate reading cameras. Among other successes, those cameras were responsible for the apprehension of 2 men in January 2022 who shot an employee and stole merchandise from a Home Depot in North Las Vegas, Nevada. The North Las Vegas PD shared the license plate across the flock network, and 2 days later, those cameras on East Lancaster alerted the PD, who made the arrest here, and Now they're back in Nevada. Not all is rosy with the PID, though. We still have some uncooperative business owners who don't appreciate the intrusion of security because their business model depends on nothing changing. They are not part of Lancaster's future. As for marketing, this is going a little slower, but we are seeing progress. Perceptions are not easily reset. But the progress made has given property owners hope, and hope is translated to fresh coats of paint and other improvements. We've also seen new businesses open, including a healthcare clinic, a local hardware store, and even an ice cream store. And the Reeby Carey Youth Library pulls in parents and kids from across the Metroplex. Now comes a mixed income proposal for East Lancaster that'll be called Palladium's City Skyline. You'll hear the zoning case next week, which has the strong support of Central Meadowbrook's board and membership. This will be the first new private construction within the PID in 20 years and will provide much needed housing. I suspect it will be a catalyst for additional development. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Our next speaker is George Childs, followed by Geraldine Jackie Cox.
My name is George Vernon Childs. I live in District 11. I'm here because of statements made in this room to the effect that this nation is being torn apart because, quote, there's no unity, unquote. My reaction to this is twofold. First, the audacious experiment called the United States of America was founded on two glaringly mutually antagonistic words, ordered and liberty. The turf war started at that moment and shows no sign of ceasing, as examination of the docket of the United States Supreme Court will consistently show. Secondly, I maintain that what is actually being torn apart are concepts that are long overdue for exactly that. I think that this is taking place in the amount of both issues and participants sufficiently for it to be fairly characterized as national psychoanalysis. By psychoanalysis, I mean digging out repressed, ugly facts from the past in order to prevent them from shaping the present and future in their own corrosive image. In individual analysis, these facts can sometimes be so ugly that consciously or unconsciously, a cost-benefit decision will be reached about whether an attempt to prevent future trauma is worth the risk of causing present trauma by facing the past. In personal analysis, this affects only the subject and at most a few dozen people close to him or her. In national analysis, this decision can be of vital interest to millions, but it is not just a matter of scale. It also means that if the decision is made by a level of government, it takes on the force of law. This can lead to another level of government disagreeing with what that law says. Another result can be individuals disagreeing with that law so strongly that they are faced with choosing between a legal duty and a moral duty. Given this, it is natural to yearn for there being an agreement about something. And as always, there will be no lack of those with comforting, dare I say, lulling words. I suggest that two questions be kept in mind when hearing those words. First, are they so vague as to offer nothing of substance to consider? Second, if this is the case, do the obscuring clouds this causes sometimes part long enough for the possibility of an agenda to be discovered? In reference to those clouds, I suggest that when united we stand, divided we fall is heard in support of unity, it would be prudent to inquire who are we and who or what are we going to fall to? Or would that be fall for?
Thank you, George. Our next speaker is Ms. Cox, followed by James McBride.
Thank you, Council. I'm Jackie Cox. I'm here because I went with others to the meeting in Echo Heights, hoping that I would hear from the city of a plan to address our problems with air quality and environmental pollution that falls most heavily in East Fort Worth. But it also spreads with the wind to the whole city. And I note that there are 2 air quality monitors in Fort Worth. One of them is near Forest Park, and the other one is kind of down along the river not too far from White Settlement and Henderson. The one that's closest to me is the one by Forest Park, and it reports today that it's a bad day, I shouldn't go outside. And I can kind of tell that. I don't know if you can tell from my voice, but I do have COPD. It's fairly severe. And in this weather, it's a struggle to breathe outside. So when I went to the city's website this afternoon to see what the city says they're doing about air quality, I kind of laughed because it said, oh, the city is aggressively pursuing air quality by using TSEC, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, air quality monitors. And I just went, you know, TSEC, in the eyes of people who are really concerned about the environment, is just a shabby excuse for quality. And the city does just flat nothing to provide us with more air quality monitors, but you do a lot in terms of development that makes our air quality worse. So I'm here to remind you that there are a lot of people in Fort Worth who suffer from bad air. We're spread all over the city. It's worst in Echo Heights because they're closest to something like 12 truck terminals. And truck terminals are places that just pour out massive quantities of diesel fuel particle matter, particulate matter, that is particularly dangerous for the health of the residents in the area. But you know what? They send their trucks all over the city and send them to all of us. So please pay attention. We are in trouble. Global warming is a danger. Thank you.
Our next speaker is James McBride, followed by Jim DeLong. Is Mr. McBride here? I don't see him come in. Okay. Jim DeLong, followed by Adrian Smith. I don't see Adrian either.
Good evening, I'm Jim DeLong. It's nice to be back in here with you all. Missed you last month. My wife says I should shoot myself in the head for thinking that. But I want to talk about something that's troubling to me. And I've mentioned this many times. The division that we have in our country. We're so polarized. We can't come together. It's either you're over here and I'm over here, and how do we come together? And I titled this Same Tune, Different Key. I'm a musician, and that's kind of a phrase that musician-type people use. From the beginning of time, it's been man versus man, race versus race, ideology versus ideology, nation versus nation. It goes on and on. That's something for thousands of years that we deal with. Inherent in man is the greed and need to have and take what others have. This includes increased hatred, division, and polarization. History is replete with examples of this. There's Abel and Cain, Alexander the Great, the Roman Empire, Hitler, communist Russian, and then there's the Irish immigrants when they came over. About the only jobs they could get was to be a policeman because of racial bias against them. The same thing is happening today. History is repeating itself, and it's been repeating itself over and over and over again. The moral fabric of our society is crumbling before our very eyes. We are consciously doing this to ourselves. What can we do? Recognize that what's happened in the past is happening to us again today. It's the same tune, but a different key. Don't fall into the same trap of those who've gone before us. Is it possible that we can learn from their mistakes? Make a quality decision to turn away from what leads to division, hatred, and strife. These are attitudes of the heart. I believe in you, our city council, the leaders of our city, and that you have the personal fortitude and are willing for the sake of all your constituents, and I emphasize all, to bring people together. If we can't come together to talk about our problems, the problems will never be solved. and we'll just get farther and farther apart. And when that happens, everybody loses. So I encourage you, do what you can to bring our people together in unity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeLong. Our next speaker is Adrian Smith, but I haven't seen him. And then our last speaker is Tina James.
I was working, I had failed. Good evening, my name is Tina James. I reside at 5021 Cottage Street in Stop 6. Currently coming out to speak again regarding the incident or the meeting that we had on Tuesday. Thank you, Dana, for reaching out to us. We appreciate it. I don't have to say anything that hasn't already been said as it relates to the situation and the life expectancy that's happening over in the Echo Heights area of Fort Worth. We are asking again for you to do your due diligence in assisting us in making our community a cleaner and better place to live, a safer place to live. I'm not gonna talk bad to anybody. I'm not gonna call anybody out. I think y'all have on your hearts and you understand what we're going through as a community and as family in our community. Mayor Pro Tem, we'd like to thank you also for reaching out as well, talking with the NAACP. We do look forward to working with them as well. Again, like I said, we just really wanted to clean up our community. We want to make it safer for our children and their children's children to enjoy a fair and healthy, safe community to live in, where they can go outside and play in their backyards without having to worry about catching any type of illnesses or sicknesses. None of my children have, what's that thing that you have to do the inhaler with? Look at that. So the whole community know what that means. We don't experience that in our family. However, my daughter went to the doctor the other day, and the doctor told her to be careful of where she's spending her time at. And so with that being said, I'm gonna ask our city councilwoman, Ms. Martinez, if you could just dig in a little bit harder. We don't want October, the 8th to go past without something being done for us, as we've been coming to you for a long time. I know that you just got in your seat, but we really want you to work hard for the community that voted you in and pay attention to what's going over in the neighborhood to make sure that what we're asking for and the changes that are needed to be done in the community are being heard, and that you're willing to work with us to get those things done. And so I just ask everyone to take the time and look into what's going on over in the east area of Fort Worth in the Echo Heights Stop 6 community. There's a lot of sickness and pollution over there. And again, we don't want any more commercial or industrial companies being put over there. What's over there, I'm quite sure we can't remove or relocate. They're there, but we are asking for y'all to take the time to go out and hold them accountable to what they're supposed to be doing in their areas, like we do with city code. When we're not doing what we're supposed to do on our property, code comes out, inspect, give citations. We're asking you to do the same thing with these companies. Hold them accountable for what they're doing to our community and our health. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. James. Council, that is the last of our speakers. I'll close the meeting.